just want to highlight some of these guys as we go through this. It's been a fun process as we go through this free agency. Again, it's a couple days in. We know how player acquisition is. It's a year-round process. We're going through this. There's plenty of things that'll happen moving forward, but just to highlight these guys, I'll start with David. This guy's the ultimate pro. He's a special person. I think, as you guys quickly realized, the ultimate player, teammate, leader, and he'll have a huge impact on our offense and our team. And so, obviously, I think one of the cool things about him is he's been around really successful programs everywhere he's been: Wisconsin, Rams, Buffalo. He knows what it needs to look like. And so he's obviously going to have a huge impact on us. Travis Etienne, huge fan of this guy going back to Clemson, following his career in Jacksonville. His vision, his speed, obviously, to make some home run plays, and then his ability to make plays when it's not always pretty. I think that's always a sign of a really special running back, and he certainly showed that throughout this year. I thought he had an awesome year there. And it's awesome to get a guy back home, back in Louisiana. And so, obviously, again, great person, and fired up to have him. Noah Fant, so tight end, took us 2 times to get this guy, so I had to give him a little bit of crap for that. So our second time worked. Followed his career closely, going back, obviously, loved him out of Iowa when I was in Dallas at the time, goes to Denver, goes to Seattle. I thought, did some really good things there. We tried to obviously get him last year. It didn't work out. Not the right timing, but his position flex, his ability to line up in a number of positions is very valuable. And so obviously he's going to be a great asset to this. His ability to team up with Juwan and the rest of that tight end group would be great. Be a ton of fun. And then Ryan Wright, another local guy with local ties, Tulane. He's had a great start to his NFL career. His first few years in Minnesota, I thought he did obviously a tremendous job. You can look at all the numbers and what their production was. His best football is even going to be ahead of him. We're really excited to get him here, get him on board, and obviously he's going to become probably very much a leader of our special teams unit. And then Caden Ellis, didn't like playing this guy the last couple of years. Philly played him once, twice last year. He's a really, really special player, really special person. I think a lot of us in this organization, around this community, know Caden. It's just awesome, just the way this thing fell, and to have an opportunity to bring him back. He's going to be a big-time leader for us, and and what he does on the field and his versatility and his ability to play in a number of spots, obviously, is very, very valuable. And so he's going to be a huge asset for us, both on the field, off the field, and a ton of fun there. And then obviously the one guy we were able to sign so far is John Ridgway. So Ridge is back. Love his development. Love where he's going, and excited to keep working with him. And so I think if there's a theme, bunch of high character guys that we love in this locker room, that are going to be great teammates, great people in this community. And obviously we certainly recognize the ability for them to perform on the field. And so it'll be a lot of fun. This is a few days in. There's obviously a lot of guys that we'll still be trying to acquire and work through this process, but it's been really good.
Kellen, getting David Edwards in there to help shore up the offensive line.
Yeah.
How key was that for you beginning this free agency process?
Felt really good identifying him as an ideal fit for our group, for our unit. Him kind of rolling in there next to Kelvin at that left guard spot. Felt like it was just a really clean transition for us. Watching his career, his consistency, his steadiness, what he did in Buffalo as far as leading that group. We certainly identified that. It's certainly a goal of ours. If this worked, it would be awesome. And fortunate for us, it felt like a good match for him and what he was looking for as well.
We saw that massive offensive line you had when you were orchestrating the Eagles offense. How much does this help replicate the style that you want to have from that time?
I just think you're always looking at offensive line, defensive line, that the importance of those positions. And so that's a year-round acquisition. Certainly David's a big important piece to this. To have the last 2 first-round picks be our left tackle, right tackle, have some depth inside with all those guys. We feel like we're in a really good place.
Kellen, you mentioned, the run, you feel like Edwards and Etienne helped with that.
Yeah, we certainly feel like we've made some progress there. And so, again, we got a lot of guys we feel great about in this building already, and we'll just continue to develop this thing. And again, this is a long process, as you go through this roster building phase of the calendar. But, both those guys, we felt like if we had the opportunity, we'd be fired up.
Kellen, was it imperative to get a guy like Caden Ellis since you've lost DeMario? Was it important to kind of fill that void?
Certainly, it was an important piece of it. By no means do you want to narrow your focus just to that piece, but really playing Caden, he's a really challenging matchup. His ability to rush the passer, to play coverage, he's really smart, really savvy, and then you kind of first identify that, and then you match all this leadership and his his ability to influence the locker room. We felt like it was just a really good opportunity for us. And, especially with Brandon's scheme and the way he utilizes backers and the pressure plans that we can utilize with Caden, I think it's going to be a really perfect match for us, for Caden. I think it's a really good situation.
Was that versatility kind of and the fact that he's younger than Demario? The reason you guys went on is what they're making per year is the same. But you guys went in a different direction.
Yeah. I don't want to go into like all the negotiating aspects of these things just because it's not fair to anyone. But obviously we love Demario, and so this thing worked out, with Caden having the opportunity to come here, and really excited about it.
With Did you have to just put out the Idaho connection when it came to Caden?
That was my only hesitancy. I'm just tired of all these Idaho handle guys that I keep running into. So, yeah.
You mentioned his versatility a couple times. I mean, obviously there's a vacancy for traditional linebacker spot, but do you see his role as something more than like just a bite?
I mean, he starts as an off the ball linebacker. That's what he's done. But you can see where he's lined up the last few years. We're not going to reinvent this thing. His ability to play on the ball and certainly in passing situations has been very valuable. It's been a huge challenge for offenses. Certainly I've seen it from our vantage point on the offense side preparing against him. And so, he'll provide us a lot of depth there.
With Etienne, I guess what did you like about him? And do you see a world where, how do you see the world with he and Alvin, and the expectation is that Alvin will be here?
Yeah, we'll go through that. We'll go through that whole process. Obviously, we know we love Alvin, and Travis, is a really special player. Certainly we identified just feeling like this is a really good fit, really good timing. He's kind of gone through those first few years of his league. He had to navigate a little bit of some stuff early in his career, got through that, and then I thought last year his film was just really, really good, and felt like schematically it was a nice little marriage with what they were doing with Liam. Some of the run concepts they're doing and stuff we'd like to utilize, and so felt like it was a good match. And he's got some ability to play in the pass game. Thought protections he's got some there, and so hey, he's still young. He's still going to keep growing. He's still going to be getting better. And it was really cool to get to have the opportunity to sign him and bring him back here.
Is your expectation right now that Alvin's part of the team wanting to focus?
Yeah, we'd like to go through that process certainly, and so we feel obviously we know Alvin means a lot to us. Again, this is we're 3 days in this thing. We've signed Travis, and we'll go through that process.
Is he considering retirement?
I'm not going to get into all that stuff. I haven't had those conversations in any way. So
You referenced Demario about how much you love him. Your first year here, you also mentioned Foster, I remember, in training camp.
Yeah.
Obviously, things changed. Played
Yeah.
the move.
Yeah.
Just maybe what those guys meant to you, especially in year one.
yeah. This is the inevitable part of the NFL. It's a dynamic that is always fluid. Rosters change each and every year. You get to build really good relationships with a lot of special people, and they're really special people. And so you appreciate everything everyone does for each and every year. And guys are going to go to other places and have different opportunities, and you're fired up for them on a personal level. You're excited for them. You're bummed when your paths don't cross again. But that's what this league's all about, and so you got to be able to kind of navigate those things, and you just keep going. And guys like Caden comes back after a few years, and so that's the fun cycle of the NFL. And so we just keep bringing in really, really good people, really high character people who will be great in this community. You certainly have the ability to perform really well on the field, and we'll be in a really good place.
What's the challenge of, I guess, so to say, trying to reinvent the locker room maybe after you lose a lot of leadership at one time? Does that kind of play out naturally?
Well, yeah, I think it's something that guys it's going to feel different. Just every year it's going to feel different, but certainly when there's some different voices in there, it'll feel different. But that's a great opportunity for some other guys to maybe carry their voice a little bit stronger. Every single year, no matter what the roster looks like, you're going to have to develop that. And so that's what an entire off-season program is all about. OTAs, training camp, getting prepared for a season. We want those type of guys.
I know you don't want to guess what Alvin's thinking, but how are you? Are you approaching it as though you need to have contingency plans, or there's uncertainty in plan A and plan B there? Or?
Really, we were able to sign a few guys so far. Obviously, we've had those conversations, and we'll see where the next few months take ourselves as this season goes. Again, we got a lot of roster stuff to navigate, but we'll be just fine.
Would you say that, anyone that you sign, you would consider a target, I understand, but would you
Yep.
say that Edwards, CTN, like these were kind of the first two big signings that kind of broke. Would you say that those were like goal players that you really wanted to go after in free agency?
I think they're clean evaluations. We loved the character and loved the performance, and felt like they were opportunities that if they presented themselves, we knew they were going to be recognized around the league, I should say. Certainly a lot of people were, and so feel fortunate that those worked out for us.
How well do you envision Noah Fant playing with Jawan Johnson?
Yeah, I feel like really well. Both those guys, Noah's played in some tag team situations before in Seattle and certainly in Cincinnati a little bit with their group. So he's played in those situations. I think they complement each other. They have some similar characteristics, but they also complement each other well enough. I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for us to pair those guys together on the field at the same time and supplement each other when they need to.
Do you think you guys be here, or you happy with what they have, or I know you're always looking, but
Yeah, it's a year-round process, so there's a lot of stuff that comes up throughout this whole process, and we'll continue to go, and there's plenty of stuff to navigate.
How tough is the loss of Alonte? I know he was a versatile piece to the defensive system.
Yeah, loved Alonte. He's a really, really good player in this league. His best football is ahead of him. We had 1 year with him, but I felt like he had a huge impact on us, and so he's going to have a huge impact on Tennessee as they kind of build that thing with Robert, and so he's going to have a huge impact there. I think going back to Tennessee, having some ties there will be really cool for him, and so again, one of those things that it's a bummer when you lose these guys, but it's part of this NFL journey for everyone.
With Caden Ellis, how much was when you look at the factors that go into getting that guy back here, was the franchise's previous or prior investments in him any factor at all? Was it a guy that got away that they wanted to get back, or was it really just based on he's been good in Atlanta for 2 years and we need that guy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think ultimately you start with the film of last year and just evaluating him from a player perspective, and then all the connections allow us to recognize who the player is, how he's going to fit in this locker room, how he's going to fit in this community, and all those things. We got an added bonus because a lot of this building knows him so well, and so there's a lot of relationships that stayed strong through that whole process. Even though he went to the red side of this thing, and so we brought him back to the right colors, and it'll be awesome.
I know you said that it's a long process and it's a always evolving process. Are there any updates that you could potentially give on where you all may stand with Cam or even Taysom, since they are free agents?
Yeah, we love those guys, and that's part of what this process is you just got to go through a process with everyone, and we obviously love those guys, love a lot of these guys that we're going through this thing, and that's what it's all about. And so we'll just take it step by step, keep staying in communication, and we'll see how this thing plays out.
what was it about Brian that this is a franchise that has probably always paid punters in free agency? You guys have done that UDFA route, just to bring someone like that in and maybe solve that position after it's been kind of a uncertainty with the last few years.
Yeah, I think it's just about finding the right pairing and matchup, and obviously I think his ties to the community certainly I think are an added bonus. It allowed us kind of the opportunity to maybe get our foot in the door, so to speak. His experience here, and I'll let him speak on that, but I think that was a huge asset. I think a lot of times it's a good example of guys coming to this community. They have a great experience. They always feel ties back to this place, and when players having a free agency opportunity, those things they get to reflect on those past experiences. And so obviously he's been very productive in Minnesota, had a really good start to his career. And I think anytime these punters, you can see they get better throughout their career, and so he's got some great football ahead of himself, and I think he's going to be a really good leader for our group, just leading that group as well.
John Berkovich didn't get a ton of opportunity on the field last year dealing with the injury.
Yep.
Just what did you see with him, either off the field or even in those small exposures on the field, that led to him back?
Yeah, the injury kind of slows down the progress early. Then he kind of gets in this phase where he's maybe not getting into the rotation as much, but he was developing. I thought the way he focused off the field and kind of just kept getting better through practice, through the developmental program, was obviously an added bonus. Saw a little bit of production towards the end of the year, saw some positivity there. And he's a guy that if the opportunity presents itself, we'd love to have him back. And he certainly felt the same way as far as quickly getting that done. So it turned out great.
Kellen, when you end up hitting these targets, these needs in free agency, does that give you kind of the the freedom when you're approaching the draft next month to just go after best player available versus drafting a need?
I think everyone would say that certainly is everyone's goal, is to acquire as many talented players and then let the draft play itself out. And so, it's a fun process. We went through some college stuff. Now we've kind of been in this pro world now for a couple of weeks, really focused on that, and then we'll kind of enter the college phase again as we kind of continue to evaluate that part. And there'll be free agents after that, and there'll be free agents in July and August. And, that's what this thing's all about. We can look at last year, just the way our roster took its course throughout the season and the things that were acquired at various spots, and we'll just continue to keep building.
With the sort of aggressive nature of how quickly you guys got something done with David Edwards and the size of his contract, I assume he was the top of your wish list at that position. And what was it that made him stand out among other options?
I think the evaluation was just really, really clean. The character obviously is really special. He's an awesome human being, awesome family. Then you put the film on, you watch him, and he's playing for a really talented offense. He's got you can tell there's a lot of command that's coming from him. He's having a lot of influence. He's having a lot of communication on the field. And then from a protection standpoint, from a run game standpoint, it's just really clean football. There's not a lot of mistakes. There's not a lot of negative plays. He's just a really steady player, and we felt really comfortable with that.
How about ETN and passing game as well? What does he allow you to do there? That versatility kind of deal.
Yeah, you saw it at Clemson. Obviously, I think all of us evaluated that and saw that as a potential. And then you see the stuff that he did in Jacksonville. He certainly made some plays out in space. And again, it'll be fun once we get on the field and kind of just get to experience that with him and kind of find what best suits us moving forward. So.
Sorry. Kind of a lighthearted question here. Yeah. Come on, ask about the cat and case. I feel like when you've been around the league, nothing surprises you. And you've also talked about being an NBA fan, and I think these things happened around the same time. I guess what was more surprising or shocking to you, the Max Crosby trade getting rescinded or Bam scoring 83 points?
Oh, that's a really good question. 83 points is quite unique. I did not watch the game, so I can't be a judge on how that occurred, but the box score certainly looks unique. So a lot of free throws. Yeah, he still got to hit him. At some point, it feels like we should probably try and get him to not have the ball in his hands. But yeah, in a unique game. And then obviously the trade thing. Obviously those are unique. They don't happen a whole lot. Obviously those are things that sometimes are. There's a lot of layers to these moves during this time of year, and so I think it's a little bit on the unfortunate side for our entire league just to experience that, and hopefully, everyone kind of finds something that works best for them, between the parties and all the teams that were kind of part of that negotiating phase, and so it'll work out. It's a unique circumstance, though, certainly for everyone.
Has he indicated to y'all at this point that he still wants to play, whether it's with y'all or someone else?
I mean, I think we've had some conversations. I think we'll let players go through their process and not be the spokespeople for them. But we love all those guys, and so we'll just let this thing take its course.
John, did you get a sense that how much of was Tyler an appeal for the free agents you spoke to that you signed? How much was his emergence last year? Do you think are a factor for them, or you noticed that's impacted you with the guys?
I certainly think having some stability there and having Tyler in the position that he's in, I think certainly gives you a lot of confidence. And I think it gives a much cleaner picture for players than when they're looking at this place and, okay, what's the opportunity going to look like? And it's an important aspect. I think Tyler has a personality and an attention that kind of grabs people in a positive way. And I think he does a really good job of connecting with players throughout this organization. Certainly he connects with this community really well. And that naturally kind of goes throughout the league. And, people talk, everyone has teammates and former players that are on different teams, and they all have conversations. And so those connections, obviously, I think are always valuable for that.
When you were having your personnel meetings, before free agency started, was this kind of like the plan of what you guys targeted? Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, basically?
Yeah, we felt good about it. We obviously, I think, credit to Mickey and the personnel staff, and then the coaching staff kind of working together, and everyone just finding an alignment. And so these are fast moving things. You guys can look at the way these rules are, the way free agency is. This thing happens really fast. You got to have a lot of work on the front end, and then have to be able to adjust and find what best opportunities present themselves for us. But we feel great about this.
Did you ever utilize at all the new rule where you can meet with potential free agents via Zoom for an hour?
We did not do any Zooms, no. So these things happen fast sometimes.
Only via Zoom that you're allowed to do that?
You can do,
Or-
yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah,
1 hour
yeah,
meeting.
yeah. So we end up not having to utilize really any of those from a, selling standpoint.
Did you see Tyler on the float? Take it easy with those fastballs.
He's got to be careful with his arm, man. He's got a long off season, so yeah. Now he's dad, and so now he's got all this stuff going on. So
What was your Mardi Gras experience like?
it was good. Our kids got to experience it a little bit. We got St. Patty's coming up, and so it's been fun. It's been fun for us to finally have some stability from a family perspective because the last few years, some moves. Our kids have kind of been all over the place, and last year they didn't get here till mid spring, and so it's been fun just to kind of slow down a little bit, enjoy it, get to experience the community, be around, and so it's been a lot of fun.
Has it made you sort of appreciate the city a little bit?
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I think, there's just so much that you want to experience. And, during the season, I'm other than my house, I'm here. So not really going anywhere else. And so now you finally get a little chance to experience it. And so it's been fun.